You're getting responses to your cold email campaigns, but for whatever reason, you're not able to get these people onto a meeting with you. And unless you're literally selling people on that first email and you've got a link in there, which you shouldn't do anyway, then you've got to get these people onto a meeting in order for them to buy. And I was talking to a Meta ads agency owner a couple days ago, and he said he can get like consistent responses to his campaigns. That's not a problem, but he just can't seem to get them onto a call. And so in this video, I want to explain like how I've managed to book over 50% booking rates on cold email campaigns, how we actually do this on a consistent basis, and it works literally across any niche industry. So you've got to shift your mindset first and foremost from just thinking email to like, we've got to focus on some other channels too. Because there's something like 50 to 60% of business owners prefer to be contacted by email on the first time. But that doesn't mean that the next time we contact them, that should also be on email. And what I mean by that is that if someone sends you an email, they're interested, and then what we do is we just send them an email and say, hey, here's my Calendly link. How many times, if you're being real with yourself, have they actually booked in that call? It's probably maybe 5%, 10% of those replies, but we're losing 90% of the people. So what you have to do is you have to change up the approach. You've got to cold call, or like what I like to call warm calling, these businesses. The second they respond, or like within minutes, ideally, give them a call, right? Literally just give them a call. And you might sit there and think, oh, I hate cold calling. Look, these people are interested. They've literally said, yes, I'm interested. Let's set up a time, whatever it is, just give them a call. And it can either be you or an SDR, but the way that conversation is going to go is really dependent on the offer that you have, right? Let's just say that your offer is something like, let me know if you got some time to talk. And they respond like, yes, I have some time. That's gonna be a very easy conversation, right? You just call them up. You're gonna say, hey, like it's Giles from XYZ company. I just saw you responded to the email. I just wanted to sort of check out a couple of details, then we can set up a time to talk. Does that sound cool? Yeah, awesome. And then you can actually qualify them there on the call as well to make sure that, one, they're actually a good fit to work with you. And then two, because you've had that extra point of contact, they're more likely to then show up to that meeting as well, because they know it's like a real human behind it. Don't do any of this AI, SDR stuff. I don't think that works yet. Maybe in the future, but like actually give them a call. Give a human to give them a call, okay? On that call, if that's your offer, just set up a time, book a call. That's all the conversation needs to be, right? Qualify them a bit, make sure they actually want what you have, set up a time. If your offer is something different and your offer is something like a free report, it's giving a free whatever it is, right? We had an offer we were running where it's like a free leads, right? To reply yes, we'll give you some leads for free. Whatever it is, that conversation is going to go more like, hey, like I just saw you responded to our email about getting some free leads. Before I just send over all the leads to you, like they could be random. I want to make sure we get the right ones for you. So you call if I just ask you a couple questions about like the leads you need. And then you have a couple minutes about talking about their business, what kind of leads they actually want, purely just focused on, okay, like let's tailor it to the offer so I can actually give you something that's helpful. And then you can transition that conversation into something that's actually going to get them to book a call. Okay, the goal of this cold call is always to book a meeting, right? It's always to book a meeting. It's not trying to sell them, although I have sold people in the first call before. It's not to try and sell them, okay? It's purely to book that meeting. And if your offer is something you give for free, then you've got to start talking about that in the beginning to make sure that they don't have this like weird sales resistance, right? It's like, hey, like it's all free. I'm just trying to give you this thing for free. Do you have a couple minutes just to answer a couple questions? Yes. And then what happens is that you can then pivot that. So for example, if it's like a lead generation company and then you're giving free leads away, what you can do is you can say, well, how are you currently getting your leads right now? Like, what are you currently doing? Oh, have you ever like tried this way of doing things? No? How come? And then that's how you can then get them to be in the mindset like, okay, like maybe he has this thing. And you can say like, what we actually do is we do X, Y, and Z, and like it's, helps businesses do this and this and this. Obviously I'll send you over those leads for free or the free thing you just promised, but like would you want to like set up a quick time to chat and I can just kind of show you through what we actually do and some stuff that'd be relevant for you guys. And using that like tone, using that type of messaging, that has booked me 80% plus book rates on some days. I kid you not, sometimes even 100% booking rates some days. When people say yes, it doesn't matter what the offer is, if it's a free thing you're giving them, if it's asking for time, if you just give that person a call, they are so much more likely to pick up the phone and actually book in a time with you, rather than just hoping and praying they're going to respond to your email, and then you have this whole thing where you're following up for days and days and days, and then by then, the intent's gone. If someone's interested, it's typically quite time sensitive. They typically need it right now, and if you're going to rely on them to respond to your email, it's never going to work, right? So you've got to go omni-channel. You've got to think, okay, cold email to begin with to get their attention. Then we've got to go calling them. And the way that you do this, the cadence is that you call them and you double dial, right? You call them once. If they don't pick up, you call them again, right? Because a lot of people don't do that. Some people say it's annoying, some people don't. I've never had a problem with it ever. And I've done, I don't even know how many calls at this point, probably close to hundreds of thousands. So you've got to just call them twice. If they don't pick up in those 2 times, okay, give them a call back a bit later in the day, right? Mark in your CRM is that you've got a no call, and then, call them again later in the day. If they don't pick up later in the day, give them a call the next day, and then try and give them a call the next day. And do this for like about a week, right? And it sounds like a lot, but again, you gotta remember this person is interested in what you do, and you're doing them a disservice if you don't get in contact with them. People think like, oh, it's harassment, it's this, it's that. Every single time I've done it more and I've called them more and I've followed up with them more, they always appreciate it. They say, thank you for following up with me. I've been super busy and I really wanted your help. So that's kind of the cadence. Double dial as soon as you can. There have been studies to show that if you dial and if you get in contact with someone within 5 minutes of them opting in, they are 100 times more likely to buy. And that is just like an independent study. You can look it up somewhere. It's like some big university did it. I don't know. It's 100 times more likely in the first 5 minutes. So try and set up something on your phone, an automation, a workflow, something that just pings your phone the second you get a response from your campaign. Give them a call. You're going to be so much more likely to close that deal. Now, some people like to also kind of combine this with a LinkedIn outreach strategy too, where they'll ping them an email, they'll ping them like a phone call as well, and if they don't pick up, then they'll try and send them a connection request, and they'll do these things too. You can, honestly speaking, phone calling, that's the biggest lever. If you want to add some extra things, LinkedIn is obviously only going to increase the effectiveness, but please call. It's going to make it so much easier. And if you're the founder and you don't have a ridiculous amount of time to call people every single day, it's not going to be something that consumes your life. If you're running a campaign and you have a 1% reply rate and you're reaching out to 1,000 people a day, a 1% positive reply rate is really good, and I'd be surprised if you have that. But if you do have a 1% reply rate, you're going to get out of that 10 responses. Out of those 10 responses, we typically see about a third of the people pick up the phone on that first time. And so if you've got a third of those people, you've got like 3 people picking up the phone, then you get 3 conversations and they're like 5-10 minutes each. This is not going to consume your life. Obviously, as you build up this system and as you have more replies coming in every single day, and you have this whole like backlog, right? Because you're following up these people for like 7 days, then you put them into like a long-term nurture sequence and all this kind of stuff. It can build up quite a lot. That's where you might want to get yourself an SDR or someone to come in and sort of help you out with that stuff. But in the beginning, it should be very manageable to do this just by picking up the phone whenever a new response comes in. So if you're getting responses with your email campaigns, if it's working well, in theory, like you're getting responses coming through, but you just can't get them booked into a meeting, please pick up the phone, call them, use what I just said earlier in the video, right? Just make sure that you pick up the phone, talk about something that's relevant to them, to the offer, whatever it is that you've actually offered them on the call, make it relevant to them. The second is relevant and they're actually sort of kind of more bought into the conversation, the sales friction has come down on that call, then you can transition it into what you do, then ask to just schedule a meeting from there, and then you'll find that they'll book in. A lot of the time, because you've had that phone call, you don't need to have any crazy automations, just some basic ones to get them to show up to the call, and then you can do your normal process from there. So if that's helpful, give us a like, subscribe. I'm gonna try and drop some more value like this, just based on all the experience I've had over the last pretty much couple of years of doing this. I haven't really shared too much of it online, but now like I know enough and I've seen enough to the point where it's like there's so many things that things are being done wrong with cold email and just with the whole like B2B kind of outreach thing in general that I really want to help fix that. So we'll see you in the next one.